Now I'm filled with excitement today because Boris has announced new permitted development rules and a whole-scale reform of the planning system. In this video, I'm going to share with you some of these new announcements and exactly what they're going to mean for property investors and developers. My name is Ranjan Bhattacharya. I've been investing and developing properties for over 30 years. I've thrived through the recessions of the early 1990s and also in the post-credit crunch recession of 2009. One of the strategies I've found absolutely great in recessionary times is to take defunct buildings which are no longer fit for purpose and to repurpose them so that they're of use to society again and profitable to me. This got an awful lot easier after the credit crunch of 2009 when the government introduced a swathe of permitted development rights, and now they're going to introduce a whole load more. And this video is all about how you can benefit from those PD opportunities. But if you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell icon so that you're notified as soon as we release a new video. We put out new content each and every week. It's all dedicated to helping you succeed in property. And do us a favour, smash that like button. It really helps us out on YouTube. And tell me what you think in the comments below. Now, the fact of the matter is, due to the way businesses have changed and evolved and doing business on the internet and also the effect of COVID-19, we do have a massive oversupply of many commercial buildings, particularly offices and retail shops. We already have on the table a whole swathe of PD rights, permitted development rights, which allow you to convert and repurpose these buildings without going through full-blown planning permission. Why is that important? Well, the thing that's important for a developer or investor is certainty. If you buy a site and you have to go through planning permission, it may take 8 weeks, it might take 2-3 years, and you may not get it. There is no certainty in the planning permission process. It's an absolute dog's breakfast, which is why Boris wants to reform it and make it simpler for us to go about our business. The existing permitted development rights that are here today, that with us today, are already so powerful and so enabling for us property investors and developers. They were brought in after the credit crunch of 2009 as in an effort to kickstart the economy. Because one thing's for sure, when there's a recession, I mean, Boris is banging on about build, build, build. He's absolutely right. The way people get out of a recession is to encourage building activity, particularly in real estate. Why? Because that has a positive spending effect. It means developers are out there spending money. It means they're buying materials, they're employing people, they're employing professional staff. The whole economy starts to have this chain reaction of growth, if you like, when people start to build. So what permitted development rights do we already have on the table? Well, you can take an office block and convert it into residential flats without the need for planning permission under a simple permitted development. If you have a shop, you can actually make 2 flats above that shop. And in certain shops, you can also make a flat or more behind a shop. But you know, it's not as simple as all of that. I mean, these PD rights came in 2013, and it wasn't until 2015, 2016 that people even began to understand how they could actually implement them. And that's because they're confusing. Now, the government don't go out with the intent of creating confusing legislation. It's just that it's very hard to draft a document that enables you to do something which actually covers every single building type and every single potential scenario nationwide. And that's why there's ambiguity, and that's why there's opportunity. Because wherever there's ambiguity, there's opportunity. There's building scenarios and there's case situations that the legislation didn't really account for. And those provide fantastic benefits for property developers. And as I said, the existing PD rights are confusing. I mean, you can put 2 flats above a shop, but you can't put 2 flats above a restaurant under PD. You can put a flat behind a shop, but you can't put a flat behind a shop if it's a conservation area. And you can't do any of this PD at all if it's a listed building. You know, so, and then there are further confusions when you try to mix these different permitted development rights on one single site. So what's happening now? Well, the government are announcing further permitted development rights. And you know what? They're going to present even more opportunities for us, because there are going to be more opportunities for confusion, for anomalies, for ambiguities, and more opportunities to combine these new PD rights with the permitted development rights that are already on the table to do some fantastic developments and repurposing of commercial buildings. So what has Boris announced? Now, I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm going to go through the main ones which I think are an opportunity for the smaller developers and investors out there. First of all, you'll be able to convert or rebuild empty buildings, empty commercial buildings. Now, I think the rebuilding of commercial buildings is going to apply to buildings which are detached. And of course, if they're empty, that's going to be of sort of great benefit if you want to repurpose them to residential usage. In other words, converting them to flats. As I mentioned before, in the existing PD rules, there's a lot of confusion about which shops you can convert to flats and which shops you can't. He's saying he's going to make it a lot easier to convert shops in general into homes. Now, I think this is going to apply to what they call secondary parades or what they call tertiary parades, basically shops in the middle of nowhere where the brand names don't trade. If it's a major high street where you have all the brand names and all the well-known people, those are unlikely to be allowed to be converted to residential. In any case, there's still plenty of demand for them as commercial units. Now, it's not always about converting commercial buildings to residential use. It can also be beneficial to convert commercial buildings to other commercial purposes. And he's saying he's going to make that easier. For example, if you want to make a shop into a small cafe, that would have to go through a full planning application. And Boris is talking about making that a change that can be done under permitted development. And building upwards, building into lofts or adding extra floors, perhaps as many as 2 floors to commercial buildings, is likely to become one of these permitted development rights. Now, Boris, being Boris, has given a sketchy outline of what these permitted developments are. We've got to wait until October for the full detail. But I can give you some facts. I can give you some hard facts which I absolutely guarantee will play out. Fact number 1. The permitted development legislation will be drafted with anomalies and inconsistencies, which means that they will have written into them opportunities for the savvy property developer. And fact number 2, just like with all these rules, it's going to be about first mover advantage. It's going to be the people who take the time to understand exactly what these rules are and what they mean you can do, and who actually take action straight away will be the ones to benefit, because it will be a good 2 or 3 years before most people will figure this stuff out. Now, this is something that I have form on, if you like. I mean, I did my first retail to residential conversion just 6 months after the rules came in 2013, and my first office to resi conversion just 7 months after the rules came in. And back then, no one had a clue what I was on about, quite frankly. It wasn't until 2015 that the market generally began to understand what permitted development was all about and the advantages it brought. So the PD rights we had on the table were already great. The PD rights that are coming are just incredible. And then on top of that, we are entering into a climate already, and I'm already seeing more commercial properties come on sale than ever before. As we come out of COVID-19, what we're seeing is that some businesses have failed and no longer need those commercial premises. Some business owners have decided to take retirement and don't want to come back after lockdown. And also, some landlords have got into trouble with their cash flow because of non-paying commercial tenants in trouble. All of these things mean that we are seeing more commercial property come to the market than ever before. Now, I'm not saying that every commercial unit is ripe for permitted development opportunity, if you like. I'm not saying that at all. A lot of them are lemons. There are a lot of commercial properties you will not be able to save. For example, it costs about 50 grand to make a flat above or behind commercial premises, if it's compliant to all the building regulations and the like. Now, if you're converting a flat above a shop, in some northern town and the flat is only worth 40 grand, then it's hardly worth doing. So this ain't going to work in all areas, and it's certainly not going to work for all commercial property types. The skill is going to be knowing exactly what PD rights are, how they can be combined, what sites they're applicable to, how to find those sites, how to fund them, and how to do those deals and get those properties cash flow generating as quickly as possible so that you can get going again. Now, I'm a natural entrepreneur, if you like, but I've always believed that if you're doing a business, it's best to do a business where you're not sailing against the wind. You're not swimming against the tide and all those analogies or whatever. You really want to go somewhere where the wind is in your sails. When I got into residential buy-to-let in the early 1990s, the UK was in desperate need of more private rented stock, and the government was actively encouraging people to invest in that sort of asset. And that's when I built a lot of the residential buy-to-let stuff that I have today. But in recent years, it's been a bit of an onslaught, hasn't it? I mean, I've done a video on my views on long-term residential buy-to-let. I'll put a link to it there. But what we've found is that as the rental population has increased and more renters have become voters, politicians have been much more interested in what they have to say, if you like, and a lot of anti-residential landlord rhetoric has kicked in. And over the years, it doesn't seem to be like there's a month go by without some new rule or some new regulation adding further burden and adding further cost to residential landlords. So if you're doing residential buy-to-let, you're swimming against the tide. You're swimming against the wind. Now, I believe the best businesses to do are the ones where you have got the full support of the government of the day and they are actually putting wind in your sails and helping you go forward. Now, what are we hearing from government right now? We're hearing, hey, go out and build, build, build. Boris said the other day he wants to have a clap outside doorsteps for capitalists. Now, I don't go that far, but the mood music is certainly encouraging folks like us. So what do you guys think of that? I mean, I know I'm getting a bit political and I might sound like a Boris fan, but I'm not a Boris fan. I'm just an enthusiast on property development. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And of course, smash that like button. Really appreciate that. Anyway, and now let me tell you the best thing of all about repurposing these commercial buildings. All those massive property developers ain't interested in this sort of stuff. A big developer may be interested in repurposing some giant Debenhams store on 4 floors and 20,000 square foot. But if you're looking at a little betting shop or something, they ain't interested. It's not worth their while. Who's going to do that? That is going to be the smaller time developer and investor. But here's the thing. A lot of the people who have the skills to do this task don't actually have the mindset to do it. I mean, a lot of people are still stuck in the residential property arena. You may have done a loft conversion or put in some ensuite bathrooms or done a small extension in a normal residential property. Quite frankly, you have more than enough skills in place to manage one of these conversion projects of a small shop and uppers, for example, into flats. So what I'm seeing time and time again is this open goal of opportunity where the big developers aren't interested at all because this is just too small fry for them. And a lot of residential folks who have the experience, who have the skills, don't really have the mindset that they can apply this to the commercial arena. And coupled with the fact that there are even more properties coming on the market than ever before as we come out of COVID-19, it's like shooting fish in a barrel, particularly with this new swathe of PD that is about to come on us. So I'm very excited about the times to come. I'm very excited about these new permitted development opportunities. I think the people that truly benefit are the ones who get to grips with the detail of these new rules as quickly as possible, understand where the ambiguities and anomalies are and therefore the opportunities, and also understand quickly how multiple PD rights can be combined together on one single site to maximize your returns. And then it's about how to find these sites, how to put the systems in place to find these sites, how to fund them, how to actually do the deals, and how to get them cash flow generating as soon as possible. Now, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I'll have a lot more to come as details unfold on these PD rights. It will be a fun few years ahead. Some of you will know that I do run some specialist training courses on commercial property investment and development, and in particular repurposing commercial properties for alternative uses. I've been running these courses for the last 4 years or so, and I've been doing commercial property myself since 2001. Now, I only run a very limited number of workshops a year because my time is actually spent out there sort of doing this sort of stuff. So if you want to find out more and about my next workshop, I've got a website link here at succeedinproperty.com/workshop. So check it all out, check out the agenda if you're interested. I hope to see you on that workshop, and you can learn some of this stuff and take that first mover advantage. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please smash that like button and comment and let me know what you think, and see you guys in the next video.